A woman demanded I sell her a sold-out product, shouting, "Just go to the back and magically find one for me." When I told her there was no stock left, she sneered, "Then sell me the display one. I deserve it more than anyone else." Just then, another customer stepped up, holding the last box, and said, "Actually, I just bought the last one." She let out a furious screech as he walked away smirking. Working in retail, you encounter all sorts of customers. Some are pleasant, some are indifferent, and then there are those who make you question humanity. This is a story about one of the latter. I manage a small electronics store in Chicago called Tech Haven. We specialize in the latest gadgets and have a loyal customer base. Recently, the Quantum X headphones were released, and they became the talk of the town. Sleek design, unparalleled sound quality, they were the must-have accessory. Naturally, our stock didn't last long. One chilly Tuesday afternoon, the store was relatively quiet. I was behind the counter, updating inventory records, when the door swung open. A woman in her late 40s walked in. She was dressed in a tailored navy coat, her blonde hair styled in a sharp bob, and she carried an air of entitlement that was hard to miss. She made a beeline for the counter, her eyes scanning the displays. Spotting the Quantum X headphones on the shelf behind me, her face lit up. "Excuse me," she said, her tone curt. "I'd like to purchase the Quantum X headphones." I offered a polite smile. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we've sold out of that model. The one on display is our last unit, and it's not for sale." Her eyebrows shot up. "What do you mean it's not for sale?" "It's right there." "Yes, ma'am," I replied, maintaining my composure. "But it's a display unit. We keep it out so customers can see and test the product. It's not packaged for sale, and we can't sell display items." She let out an exasperated sigh, tapping her manicured nails on the counter. "That's ridiculous. Just go to the back and find one for me." I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. "I understand your frustration, but we've truly sold out. Our next shipment is expected in 2 weeks." Her face flushed with irritation. 2 weeks? That's unacceptable. I need those headphones today. "I'm really sorry, ma'am," I said, genuinely empathizing with her disappointment. "But there's nothing I can do at the moment." She leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "Listen, I'm willing to pay extra. Just sell me the display one. I deserve it more than anyone else." Before I could respond, the door jingled again, and in walked a young man in his early 20s. He was dressed casually in a hoodie and jeans, with a confident stride that suggested he knew exactly what he wanted. In his hand, he held a box, the unmistakable packaging of the Quantum X headphones. "Actually," he said, stepping up to the counter beside the woman, "I just bought the last one." The woman's eyes widened in shock, her mouth opening and closing as if searching for words. But I was here first." The young man shrugged, a smirk playing on his lips. "Guess you should have come earlier." Her face turned a deep shade of crimson, and she let out a furious screech that echoed through the store. "This is unacceptable. I demand to speak to your manager." I took a deep breath, preparing for the storm that was about to unfold. "Ma'am, I am the manager. And as I've explained, we're out of stock. I can put you on a waiting list and notify you when the next shipment arrives." She glared at me, nostrils flaring. "This is the worst customer service I've ever experienced. I'll be reporting this." "I'm sorry you feel that way," I said calmly. "Please let us know if there's anything else we can assist you with." With a huff, she spun on her heel and stormed out of the store, the door slamming shut behind her. The young man chuckled, shaking his head. "Some people," he muttered, before turning to leave. I watched him go, a sense of relief washing over me. Just another day in retail. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the encounter with the irate woman. Her entitlement and disregard for store policies were not uncommon in the retail world, but something about her demeanor lingered in my mind. I decided to document the experience on Reddit, sharing it in the r/Tales from Retail community, a place where retail workers commiserated over shared experiences. The post gained traction quickly, with fellow Redditors sharing similar stories of demanding customers. One user recounted an incident where a customer insisted on purchasing a display item, refusing to accept that it wasn't for sale. Another shared a tale of a customer who became irate when informed that an item was out of stock, demanding that the employee check the back repeatedly. Reading these stories provided a sense of camaraderie and validation. It was comforting to know that others had faced similar challenges and had found ways to navigate them. The community's support reminded me of the resilience required in retail and the importance of maintaining composure in the face of adversity. A week later, as I was closing up the store, the phone rang. I considered letting it go to voicemail but decided to answer. Tech Haven, this is Alex speaking. How can I help you? There was a brief pause before a familiar voice responded. Hello, Alex. This is Veronica, the woman from last week who wanted the Quantum X headphones. I straightened up, surprised by the call. Yes, ma'am. How can I assist you? She sighed, her tone softer than before. I wanted to apologize for my behavior. I was out of line, and I took my frustration out on you. It was unfair, and I'm sorry. I was taken aback by her sincerity. Thank you for saying that. I understand that it was a frustrating situation. I've been reflecting on how I acted, she continued. And I realized that I let my entitlement get the best of me. There's no excuse for treating someone that way. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. We all have moments we're not proud of. I appreciate your apology. There was a brief silence before she spoke again. I was wondering if you could put me on the waiting list for the next shipment. Of course, I replied, taking down her information. We'll notify you as soon as they arrive. Thank you, Alex, she said, her voice filled with gratitude. And again, I'm truly sorry. As I hung up the phone, I couldn't help but smile. It wasn't every day that customers acknowledged their missteps. Perhaps there was hope for change, one interaction at a time. 2 weeks later, the new shipment of Quantum X headphones arrived. True to my word, I contacted Veronica to inform her. 2 days after I called Veronica to let her know the new Quantum X headphones had arrived, she showed up at the store around lunchtime. I was on the floor training a new hire, Marcus, a bright kid, fast learner, a little nervous around customers, but eager to help. I saw her walk in through the glass doors and gave Marcus a quick nod to handle the restocking while I headed to the counter. Veronica approached, holding her purse tightly like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Her smile looked rehearsed. Alex, she said, her voice lighter than last time. I'm here for the headphones. You said you'd hold them for me. Yes, I said, going to the back and grabbing the box we had set aside with her name on it. I've got it right here. Her smile grew, but before I could ring it up, the door opened again. A tall man in a dark coat, looking like he hadn't slept in days, rushed in. He was maybe in his early 50s, graying beard, glasses slipping down his nose. He looked around wildly before spotting the Quantum X box in my hand. Hey, he called out, walking fast toward the counter. Is that the last one? I paused, holding the box. We've got more in the back, but this one's reserved. He stepped right up to the counter, breathing hard like he'd just run across the city. Please. I need them. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow. I checked 3 other stores. No one has them. Veronica shifted uncomfortably next to him. I'm really sorry, I said again. But this unit is on hold for a customer. The man looked at Veronica, then back at me. Look, she doesn't need them. She's an adult. My daughter's 10. She's been saving up for months. Just let me buy it. I'll pay cash. Veronica's smile cracked. She turned to face him fully. Excuse me, she said, voice rising. Do you think that just because I'm older, my money doesn't count? I didn't say that, the man replied, calmly but with heat behind his words. I'm saying kids only turn 10 once. She snorted. You're trying to guilt-trip me? That's pathetic. I held up a hand. Let's keep this civil. But Veronica wasn't done. No, this is mine. I waited. I apologized. I got on the list. He can get one next time. He doesn't have next time, I said quietly. His kid's birthday is tomorrow. I don't care, she snapped. The man stepped back like she'd slapped him. You really don't care at all? She crossed her arms. I don't know your daughter. I care about what I came here for. Marcus, who had been listening from the shelf aisle, came over and whispered, We actually do have one more in the back. I didn't log it in yet. It came this morning. I turned to look at him. Are you sure? He nodded. Still in the shipping box. I let out a breath of relief and turned to the man. Hang tight. We've got one more. Give me a second. I ran to the back and found the unopened box on the supply cart. Sure enough, one more Quantum X. When I came back out, I handed the freshly sealed one to the man, who looked like he was about to cry. Thank you, he said. Seriously. Thank you. Veronica looked smug, but also, something was off. As he turned to leave, I caught her staring at him in a strange way. Then, as the door closed behind him, she muttered under her breath, typical. I froze. What do you mean by that? She looked at me like she hadn't meant to say it out loud. Nothing. No. You said typical. Typical how? She shrugged, eyes shifting. Forget it. It doesn't matter. I narrowed my eyes. If you've got a problem, now's the time to speak up. She didn't respond. Just handed me her card and paid for the headphones in silence. A few hours later, after the store had quieted down, I checked our online store reviews. We had a new one, posted just 30 minutes ago. 1 star. Rude staff. They cater to sob stories and ignore real customers. Manager plays favorites. Avoid. No name, just a user ID, but the timing and tone were unmistakable. I sat there, staring at the screen. She had smiled to my face. Thanked me. Paid for the item she wanted. And still stabbed us in the back online. That wasn't all. The next morning, my district manager forwarded me an email with the subject line, Customer Complaint, Store 212. It was a formal message. Veronica had emailed corporate. She said I nearly incited a physical altercation, that I humiliated a loyal customer publicly, and prioritized sympathy cases over real paying buyers. I was stunned. This wasn't a simple complaint. She had rewritten the story to make herself the victim and me the villain. And then, 2 hours later, a man walked into the store. Not just any man. Corporate. Black coat, clipboard, stern face. Alex, he asked. Yeah? We need to talk. He led me to the back office and closed the door behind him. His name was Martin, and he introduced himself as a field compliance manager. I'd heard of him before, known for being thorough and rarely smiling. The kind of guy who wore polished shoes to an electronics store. Martin sat across from me, flipping through pages on his clipboard. We received a complaint about your handling of a customer conflict. It's detailed. Names, timestamps, descriptions. I stayed quiet. I could feel the heat crawling up my neck. She claimed you embarrassed her in front of other customers, favored another customer over her even though she had a reservation, and refused to follow store policy by giving away her item to a walk-in. That's not true, I said, keeping my voice level. She got her item. She paid for it. The other customer got a different unit we hadn't unpacked yet. Martin didn't look up. You understand how this looks from the outside, right? You told her it was the last one, and then suddenly produced another one for someone else, without explanation. It was the last one I thought we had, I said. My trainee found one that wasn't logged in yet. Still sealed. I gave that to the other customer. He finally met my eyes. You documented any of this? Inventory logs? Staff witness. Marcus. He's the trainee. He was there. Heard everything. Martin nodded slowly. We'll need to talk to him. He stood and left without another word. I spent the next few hours tense as hell. Marcus was only 2 weeks into the job, and I wasn't sure how clearly he remembered the events. Martin talked to him in private. After what felt like hours, Marcus walked out of the office, looking confused but calm. Martin followed, heading straight for the door without even glancing at me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the smug look Veronica gave me after the man left with the headphones. It wasn't just entitlement. It was calculated. She knew exactly what she was doing. I started digging. I checked our online store feedback again. That 1-star review she left? I clicked the username. Turns out, she had a pattern. Every few months, different stores. Always electronics. Always a glowing review of getting what she wanted, or a scathing one claiming discrimination, unfair treatment, rudeness. This woman didn't just complain. She weaponized it. A few of the usernames matched similar phrasing. Almost identical structure in her writing. One post even mentioned, making sure corporate knows who deserves better. I went to our employee Discord server and dropped a quiet message in a retail support thread. Anyone dealt with a customer named Veronica lately? Mid-40s, sharp bob haircut, navy coat. Tries to buy display items. Demands manager. I didn't expect much. But within the hour, I had 6 responses. Yes, she pulled the same act at our store. She faked crying to try to get a refund and a new item. Filed a corporate complaint on my manager. Tried to say we threatened her. We had to pull camera footage to prove it was false. She was bouncing around multiple stores. Maybe even different companies. Same tactic. Demand. Argue. Claim victimhood. File corporate report. Leave online review. Repeat. She knew the system. And it worked. People caved to avoid bad PR. To avoid getting written up. To keep their jobs. But I wasn't just going to sit back. I printed everything. Every online review. Every screenshot of responses from fellow workers. I even got Marcus to write a short statement explaining what he saw. Then I sent it all to Martin with a note. Pattern of behavior from this customer. Worth investigating. Staff in multiple stores affected. No response that night. But 2 days later, Martin came back. This time with someone from legal. They reviewed the footage from our store, asked more questions, and requested permission to contact other managers. I gave them everything. Then they told me something I didn't expect. She tried the same thing last month at a location in Milwaukee. That manager had a nervous breakdown after she accused him of assault. It got worse. She's known to file complaints under aliases. We've flagged 5 of them already. I sat there stunned. So what happens now? Martin gave the smallest nod I'd ever seen. We're building a case. You won't be hearing from her again. For now, don't engage if she contacts you. I wanted to believe it was over. But later that week, I got a personal email. Not from a company. From her. No subject line. Just, you think you're clever? You're not. Watch yourself, Alex. She used my name. She knew where I worked. And now I had no idea how far she was willing to go. I stared at the email for a long time. It wasn't just angry, it was personal. It was a threat. She wasn't just mad about the headphones anymore. She wanted me scared. And it was working. I sent the email to Martin and copied our legal team. I made sure it was documented. They told me not to respond, not even to open anything else she sent. But it didn't stop. 2 days later, someone left a voicemail on the store phone after hours. It was a woman, voice calm, almost sweet. You should be careful who you cross. Some people don't forgive. Some people don't forget. I saved the message and sent it to corporate too. This time, Martin didn't just email back. He called. Alex, I'm coming back tomorrow. Don't worry, we're handling it. But I need you to stay alert. When he arrived the next morning, he brought a laptop with him. Security footage, documents, more logs. He was building something bigger than just a customer complaint. He told me she had done the same thing in multiple cities. Sometimes under different names. Always following the same playbook. He also told me that I wasn't supposed to know this, but she had sued 2 other stores for emotional damages. Both settled just to avoid media mess. I was angry. She wasn't just some difficult customer, she was a professional manipulator. She used people. She knew how to twist the system and scare people into silence. And for a while, it worked. But then she slipped. One of the usernames she used on a review site linked to a public Pinterest board under the same email. That account had her full name, city, and even her dog's name. That led to her Facebook. And that led to an old Reddit account. She had posted years ago on r/legal advice, asking how to sue a store that publicly embarrassed her because a manager refused to give her a refund. It was all there, piece by piece. I sent everything to Martin. That's when things moved fast. Corporate's legal team reached out to the stores she had previously targeted. They pulled camera footage, pulled call logs, emails. Some stores still had the old security tapes. In more than one of them, she could be heard whispering to herself before speaking to a manager, like she was rehearsing a scene. One store had footage of her smiling as she walked out, right after she had told corporate that she'd left in tears. Another store's employee had quit because of her. That person came forward when they heard what was happening. They gave a full statement. And finally, we got her name tied to a known consumer advocate group that was run by a guy she used to date. He had helped her draft letters that looked official, fake legal threats, to scare employees. It all collapsed after that. Corporate filed a cease and desist. Legal contacted authorities. She wasn't arrested, but she was served with legal warnings and banned from all stores in the chain. Her fake online accounts were flagged and taken down. Reviews deleted. Complaints retracted. But the fallout didn't stop with her. When everything came to light, I got pulled into a meeting with HR. They reviewed every part of how I handled the situation. I was honest. I said I should have written a report the day it happened. I didn't log her behavior until after the Reddit post blew up. I let it get under my skin. I made decisions emotionally, not by the book. HR didn't fire me, but they gave me a formal write-up. Marcus got praised for speaking up. He was promoted to full-time the next month. I stayed on, but things were different. I was more careful. I documented everything. I didn't let my guard down, no matter how harmless a customer looked. As for Veronica, a few weeks after it all ended, I got one last letter. It was handwritten. No return address. You made me lose everything. But you're no saint either. I'll be watching. I gave it to Martin, and he sent it to legal. They traced the handwriting to another complaint filed at a store in Indiana. She had moved on. Same tactics, new name. Only this time, they were ready. The manager at that store had heard my story. Had seen the Reddit post. Had seen the warning emails corporate sent to every location. They didn't fall for it. They filmed everything. They documented every word. And they turned her in before she could even call corporate. The last I heard, she had been flagged by multiple retailers and added to an internal database shared across several companies. Not illegal, but permanent. She burned every bridge she walked on. And me? I still work retail. Still in Chicago. I don't smile as easily anymore. I don't take people at their word. And I definitely don't assume an apology means someone's changed. Some people don't want help. They want power. And sometimes, the only way to stop them is to show them, loud and clear, that they picked the wrong person.